You just finished your fast, maybe 16 hours, maybe 18. You did the hard part. You held the line, and now you're standing in the kitchen thinking, okay, what do I eat? And here's the thing. Most people get this moment completely wrong. Not because they're not trying, because nobody ever told them what's actually happening inside their body the moment the fast ends. And the food choices they make in the next 30 minutes either multiply everything the fast just built or quietly erase it. Today we're going to fix that for good. But first, let me tell you about the moment that breaks most people's results without them ever knowing it. Picture this: 16 hours of fasting done. Insulin is low. Growth hormone has been elevated. Autophagy has been running. The body has been in repair and fat-burning mode for hours. And then hunger hits. Real hunger. The kind that makes you want to grab the first thing available. Cereal, toast, a banana, a protein bar, something quick, something easy. And in that moment, without meaning to, they flood their system with fast-digesting carbohydrates. Insulin spikes immediately. The fat-burning state that took 16 hours to build collapses in minutes, and the body shifts from burning stored fat to processing the incoming food. The fast worked perfectly. The meal after it undid most of the benefit. This is the moment most people ruin their results, and it happens every single day. Here's what almost nobody tells you about breaking a fast, and it changes everything. The moment your fast ends, your body is not in a normal fed state. It is in a transition state, a metabolic window where what you eat first determines which hormonal environment your body enters for the next 4 to 6 hours. During fasting, insulin drops to its lowest point of the day. Glucagon rises. Growth hormone is elevated. Your cells are insulin sensitive, meaning they will respond to any incoming food signal with unusual speed and intensity. This is actually an advantage, but only if you use it correctly. If you break your fast with high glycemic carbohydrates, white bread, fruit juice, cereal, even most protein bars, you trigger a rapid and aggressive insulin response. That insulin spike is not just large, it is disproportionately large because your cells are hypersensitive after fasting. What would cause a moderate insulin response in a normal fed state causes a dramatic response post-fast. And a dramatic insulin spike means immediate shutdown of fat oxidation, immediate shift to glucose storage mode, and a blood sugar crash 90 to 120 minutes later that triggers cravings, hunger, and the urge to eat again, wiping out your calorie deficit and your hormonal advantage in a single meal. Now here's where it gets genuinely interesting, because the solution is not what most fasting content tells you. Most fasting videos tell you to break your fast with protein, eggs, chicken, Greek yogurt. And protein is important, but protein alone is not the complete answer. Here's why. When you break a fast with pure protein on an empty stomach, especially lean protein, your body converts a portion of that protein into glucose through a process called gluconeogenesis. Your liver takes amino acids and manufactures glucose from them, which means even a protein-only fast-breaking meal can produce an insulin response larger than expected. And for people who are metabolically compromised or insulin resistant, that response can be significant enough to interrupt the fat-burning state they worked 16 hours to create. The complete answer is more specific than just eating protein. It's about the combination, the sequence, and the timing of what goes into your body in that first meal. And once you understand the mechanism, the right choice becomes obvious. So what does the optimal fast-breaking meal actually look like? The research from 2025 is remarkably clear on this. A study published in Cell Metabolism confirmed that breaking a fast with a combination of protein and fat with minimal or zero fast-digesting carbohydrates produces the lowest insulin response of any macronutrient combination, while simultaneously providing the amino acids needed for muscle protein synthesis. The fat slows gastric emptying. It blunts the insulin response to the protein. It keeps you in a lower insulin state for longer, which means the fat-burning window extends further into your fed state instead of snapping shut the moment you eat. Practically, this looks like 2 to 3 eggs cooked in butter or olive oil, a handful of nuts alongside, half an avocado, sardines or salmon, full-fat Greek yogurt with no added sugar. These are not random recommendations. They are foods that provide protein for muscle repair, fat to blunt the insulin response, and virtually no fast-digesting carbohydrates to trigger the spike that collapses your metabolic state. But here's the additional layer most people miss entirely. The sequence in which you eat your fast-breaking meal matters almost as much as what you eat. A 2025 study published in Diabetes Care confirmed that eating protein and fat before any carbohydrates, even in the same meal, produces a significantly lower post-meal glucose and insulin response than eating carbohydrates first or mixing everything together. This is called food sequencing, and it works because the protein and fat you eat first, slow gastric emptying, meaning everything that follows enters your bloodstream more slowly. If you're going to include carbohydrates in your first meal after fasting, and many people do for energy and performance reasons, eat your protein and fat first. Wait 5 to 10 minutes, then add the carbohydrates. Your insulin response will be dramatically lower. Your blood sugar will rise and fall more gradually, and your body will spend more time in fat-burning mode even after the meal has begun. Now here's the piece that pulls everything together, and the one that most fasting content never reaches. What you eat after fasting also determines how well your next fast goes. This is the connection almost nobody makes. When you break your fast with high glycemic carbohydrates and spike insulin aggressively, blood sugar rises fast and falls fast. That crash typically happens 2 to 3 hours after the meal. And when blood sugar crashes, ghrelin rises. Ghrelin is your hunger hormone. An elevated ghrelin makes the early hours of your next fasting window feel genuinely difficult. Hunger, irritability, cravings, difficulty concentrating. Most people attribute this to fasting being hard, but it's not fasting that's hard. It's the blood sugar roller coaster from their previous meal making the start of the next fast feel like suffering. Break your fast with protein and fat. Blood sugar rises slowly, stays stable for 4 to 5 hours, and falls gradually. When your next fasting window begins, hunger is minimal. The transition is smooth. The fast feels easy. You are not fighting your biology. You are working with it. And now, the final twist, the one that reframes everything about intermittent fasting most people are doing. Here's the truth about why intermittent fasting works when it works, and why it fails for so many people who are technically doing it correctly. Fasting itself is not the mechanism. Fasting is the setup. The 16 hours of not eating creates the hormonal environment, low insulin, elevated growth hormone, high insulin sensitivity. But that environment is a window, not a guarantee. What you do at the end of that window determines whether the benefit accumulates or evaporates. The people who get dramatic results from intermittent fasting are not just fasting longer or harder than the people who don't. They are protecting the post-fast window with the right food choices. They are extending the low insulin state into the fed period instead of collapsing it immediately. They are allowing the metabolic advantage that fasting created to compound, meal after meal, day after day, week after week. And the people who fast consistently and see minimal results, they are almost always making one of two mistakes: breaking the fast too quickly with the wrong foods, or not breaking it at all until they're so hungry that they eat whatever is available. Both mistakes produce the same outcome. The fasting window works perfectly. The feeding window erases it. Here is your protocol, starting with your next meal after fasting. Break your fast with protein and fat first. Eggs, avocado, nuts, fatty fish, full-fat dairy. No fruit juice, no cereal, no protein bars with added sugar. If you want carbohydrates in that meal, eat them last. Wait 5 to 10 minutes after your protein and fat before adding any carbohydrates. Keep the first meal moderate in size, not a feast. Your digestive system has been resting for 16 hours. Give it a gradual re-entry, and drink water or black coffee before you eat anything. It blunts appetite and allows you to make a calm, intentional food choice instead of grabbing whatever is closest. Drop a comment right now and tell me, what have you been eating to break your fast? I want to know. And if this video finally explained why your fasting results have felt inconsistent, subscribe, because next week we're going deep on exactly why muscle is always the first thing fasting takes, and the specific protocol that stops it from happening. That video is the direct continuation of what we covered today. I will see you there.